The press conference room buzzed with a mixture of excitement and trepidation, a cacophony of languages colliding like a cultural smoothie. Photographers jostled for position, their cameras clicking like a chorus of mechanical crickets. Charlie Grayson stood at the front, adjusting his tie for the umpteenth time, wishing desperately that he hadn't chosen the bright green one that clashed with his navy suit. "Just blend in," he muttered to himself, which was precisely the opposite of what the tie achieved. "Mr. Grayson, is it true that you'll be the one overseeing the Xyloran integration?" a reporter shouted, her voice slicing through the murmurs. Charlie swallowed hard. Yes, that's me," he said, attempting a smile that felt more like a grimace. His heart raced. The Xylorans, an alien species with long, elegant limbs and skin that shimmered in the light, had recently signed a historic peace agreement with Earth. After decades of warlike tension, the Intergalactic Council deemed this moment a triumph. Or a trap. He hoped it was just a triumph. "Good luck with that," another voice piped up, laughter rippling through the crowd. "I hear they eat diplomats for breakfast." The crowd erupted, but Charlie didn't find it funny. He glanced nervously at the Xyloran ambassador, Zildar, who stood beside him. Zildar, with his kaleidoscopic skin, was a sight to behold. He had a way of exuding both grace and an unsettling aura that made Charlie's skin crawl. The alien's large, luminous eyes were currently fixed on Charlie, and for a moment, he could have sworn they sparkled with mischief. "Don't worry, dear human," Zildar said, his voice smooth and rich like honey poured over silk. "I prefer my breakfast scrambled." The room erupted in laughter again, and Charlie, feeling as if he'd just slipped on a banana peel, joined in despite himself. This was the moment that would define his career, an opportunity to shine. If only he could get through it without causing an interstellar incident. But the universe had other plans. As Zildar continued to charm the room, Charlie's hand wobbled, sending his coffee cup tilting precariously. In a slow-motion moment that felt like a scene from a comedy film, the cup flipped, spewing its contents all over Zildar's immaculate robe. The audience gasped, the laughter abruptly dying. Time stood still. "Oh dear!" Charlie exclaimed, his cheeks turning crimson. He'd just committed the ultimate faux pas, alien coffee shower. Zildar, however, burst into laughter, the sound echoing through the stunned room. "Well, this is one way to break the ice." He flicked his wrist, and a flicker of iridescent light danced along his skin, cleaning himself with a grace that was both astounding and infuriating. "It appears we have an enthusiastic ambassador here on Earth." Relieved laughter rippled through the crowd, and Charlie's embarrassment morphed into a sense of camaraderie. Maybe this whole alien diplomacy thing wouldn't be so bad after all. Days turned into weeks, and the initial chaos faded into a routine. Charlie found himself immersed in the integration process, a dizzying affair that often felt more like a circus than serious diplomacy. The Xylorans were peculiar creatures. Their fascination with Earth's culture was genuine, yet their interpretations were often hilariously misguided. During one meeting, Zildar had insisted on showcasing Earth's finest cuisine to his fellow Xylorans. The result was a bizarre dinner featuring jello salads and mystery meatloaf that left everyone baffled. The aliens, with their advanced understanding of molecular gastronomy, poked at the gelatinous blobs as if they were examining extraterrestrial life forms. "Why is it wiggling?" one Xyloran asked, tilting his head in confusion. "It's just, how we do things here," Charlie stammered, trying to maintain his composure while cringing inside. "A cultural delicacy." "Delicacy?" Zildar mused, his voice dripping with sarcasm. "It looks like something my pet Glarp would reject." It was moments like these that filled the days with laughter, but there was an undercurrent of tension that Charlie couldn't shake. Reports of strange occurrences began circulating, unexplained disappearances and odd sightings around the capital. Charlie dismissed them as conspiracy theories, until the day he accidentally stumbled upon something that changed everything. It happened during a routine meeting. Charlie was leafing through a stack of Xyloran documents when he noticed a phrase that sent chills down his spine: Initiate Phase 2 of Integration, Human Assimilation. What does that mean? He murmured to himself, brow furrowed in confusion. Just then, Sarah Mitchell, his pragmatic partner, leaned over to peek at the documents. That doesn't sound good, she said, her voice low. We should dig deeper. Charlie nodded, his stomach nodding. I don't want to be alarmist, but this could be a serious breach of trust. They're not just here for peace, are they? Their investigation quickly turned into a comedic farce, filled with disguises and espionage. One night, they donned ridiculous Xyloran costumes, mismatched fabric, oversized limbs, and glowing accessories, and infiltrated an alien gala meant to celebrate their cultural exchange. As they mingled with Xylorans, Charlie struggled to maintain his balance in the absurd costume. This is definitely not my size, he whispered to Sarah, who was trying to stifle her laughter as she pretended to be an alien cultural liaison. Just nod and smile, Grayson, she replied, her voice muffled. No one's going to suspect the charming diplomats. But charm can only go so far. As they eavesdropped on a conversation, a familiar voice caught Charlie's attention: Zildar. The ambassador spoke in low tones with several other Xylorans, their faces serious and inscrutable. Charlie strained to hear, his heart pounding in his ears. The humans are naive, Zildar said, his tone cold and calculating. They believe in our goodwill. We'll begin the assimilation process soon, and they will be none the wiser. Charlie's blood ran cold. We need to get out of here, he whispered urgently, tugging at Sarah's arm. They stumbled away from the gathering, their costumes clumsy and conspicuous. Charlie's mind raced. They had to expose this plot before it was too late. But the closer they got to the truth, the more perilous their situation became. As Charlie and Sarah stumbled away from the gala, their oversized Xyloran costumes flapping awkwardly with each step, adrenaline surged through them. They ducked into a shadowy alcove, out of sight from the bustling crowd of intergalactic diplomats, trying to catch their breath. I can't believe we just heard that, Sarah whispered, her eyes wide. They're planning to assimilate us. How did we not see it sooner? Charlie pulled off his ill-fitting mask, tossing it aside. We were too busy playing diplomat. I thought they were just quirky, not plotting an invasion. We need to get this information back to the authorities, Sarah said, glancing around nervously. But we can't just walk in and say, hey, guess what? The aliens are planning to take over. They'll laugh us out of the room. Unless we have proof, Charlie said, his mind racing. We need to get a hold of those documents, the ones with the human assimilation plan. If we can expose them, maybe we can rally the others before it's too late. With a newfound sense of urgency, they made their way through the dimly lit corridors of the Xyloran embassy, weaving between guests and avoiding the attention of any security personnel. Their hearts raced not just from fear but also from the ridiculousness of their situation, cloaked in mismatched alien costumes as they plotted to thwart an alien takeover. Where would they keep the documents? Sarah asked, glancing over her shoulder. A secret room? A vault? Or just in a very boring office, Charlie said, shrugging. Let's check the administrative wing. If we can find their records room, we might just get lucky. They ducked through a door marked "Authorized Personnel Only," which led them into a hallway lined with strange art, abstract sculptures that seemed to move in the corners of their eyes. Charlie suppressed a shiver and focused on the task at hand. "Do you hear that?" Sarah said suddenly, stopping dead in her tracks. A faint sound drifted down the hallway, a rhythmic thumping mixed with a garbled voice. They exchanged glances and pressed forward, the noise growing louder until they reached a doorway labeled "Translation Hub." The door was slightly ajar, revealing a brightly lit room filled with Xyloran delegates interacting with strange, holographic interfaces. "Let's peek in," Charlie suggested, and they cautiously pushed the door open a crack. Inside, they spotted a large screen displaying data streams and communication logs. At the center stood Zildar, conversing animatedly with several other Xylorans. Charlie's breath caught as he noticed the word "assimilation" flashing on the screen, alongside images of Earth cities morphing into alien landscapes. "This is it," he breathed. "We need to record this." Sarah fumbled for her phone, a relic of human technology she always kept at the ready. "I can't believe I'm going to record aliens plotting to take over the world," she muttered, her finger hovering over the screen. "Just hit record," Charlie urged. As she pressed the button, they both leaned in, straining to hear. "Once the integration is complete," Zildar was saying, "the humans will be completely unaware. They will willingly submit to our guidance, believing they are part of the Xyloran culture." Like a covert cultural exchange, one of the delegates chimed in, nodding. "They will think they are being enhanced, but they will be nothing more than puppets." A wave of anger washed over Charlie. "They can't do this," he whispered fiercely. "We have to stop them." Suddenly, the door creaked, and Charlie's heart dropped. A Xyloran security officer stood just outside, eyeing them suspiciously. "Run!" Sarah shouted, yanking Charlie back as they bolted down the hallway. They sprinted through the embassy, the sound of alien footsteps echoing behind them. Charlie's mind raced. Every corner they turned seemed to lead them deeper into a maze of bureaucracy and intrigue. "Where do we go?" Sarah panted, glancing back as the officer rounded a corner. "Out!" Charlie shouted, spotting an exit sign ahead. "We need to get back to the main assembly room and warn the others." They barreled through the door just as the officer shouted something unintelligible behind them. In the assembly room, diplomats mingled, blissfully unaware of the impending doom. "Charlie!" Sarah hissed. "What now?" "We need to find President Harris," he said, scanning the crowd. "He's the only one who can take this seriously." They weaved through clusters of delegates, Charlie's heart pounding louder than the chatter around them. When they finally spotted the president, he was deep in conversation with Zildar, their body language exuding a false sense of harmony. "Mr. President," Charlie called, desperation seeping into his voice as he pushed through the crowd. Harris turned, a warm smile on his face. "Ah, Charlie. Isn't this a wonderful occasion? The dawn of a new era?" "Mr. President, we need to talk, now," Charlie insisted, glancing at Zildar, who regarded him with a curious tilt of his head. "What's wrong?" Harris asked, his brow furrowing. "Charlie, you're not looking well," Zildar said, feigning concern, though a smirk danced on his lips. Ignoring the alien's taunt, Charlie leaned closer to Harris. "We've discovered something critical about the Xylorans. They're planning to assimilate us." Harris laughed, his eyes twinkling with amusement. "Charlie, that's a bit extreme, don't you think? We just signed a peace agreement." "No. You don't understand." Charlie pressed, feeling the weight of the room's skepticism bear down on him. I have evidence. They're manipulating us. They're not here for peace. Zildar stepped forward, his expression shifting from playful to predatory. Charlie, I think you're letting your imagination run wild. We Xylorans have been nothing but forthright in our dealings with Earth. Forthright? Or furtive? Sarah interjected, her hands on her hips. We've seen the documents. You can't deny what you're planning. A hush fell over the assembly, curious eyes turning towards the trio. The tension was palpable as whispers rippled through the crowd. President Harris glanced between Charlie and Zildar, the humor fading from his expression. Is this true? He asked Zildar, who merely shrugged, an inscrutable smile playing on his lips. Humans have always been so dramatic, Zildar said smoothly. Our intentions are peaceful, I assure you. Perhaps Charlie and Sarah have merely misunderstood our cultural nuances. Cultural nuances? Charlie scoffed. You're talking about assimilating us into a new society. Harris's brow furrowed deeper, and Charlie could see the gears turning in his mind. We need to investigate this further, he finally said, looking back at Zildar. But I trust you, Ambassador, to clarify this situation. Zildar inclined his head gracefully, his expression unreadable. Of course, Mr. President. I will make sure to clarify our intentions. As the room resumed its chatter, Charlie felt a knot of frustration tighten in his gut. This isn't over, he murmured to Sarah, a determined glint in his eye. We'll gather our evidence and make them listen. We have to do something before it's too late. Determined, Charlie and Sarah set off to gather more proof, knowing they couldn't let the Xylorans' true intentions remain hidden. Back at the embassy, they rifled through files, their hearts racing as they flipped through stacks of papers. There has to be something we can use, Charlie muttered, frustration bubbling to the surface. Look here. Sarah exclaimed, her finger pointing at a document titled Phase 3, Full Integration. Charlie leaned closer, his eyes widening as he read the details. They plan to deploy neural implants under the guise of enhancements, not just for the elite but for the entire population. Charlie, this is huge. Sarah exclaimed, her voice a mix of excitement and dread. We have to get this to the media. But we can't risk it, Charlie replied. If they find out we have this, we're done for. We need a way to expose them without putting ourselves in danger. Suddenly, inspiration struck. What if we staged an accident? Something to divert their attention while we leak this information? Sarah raised an eyebrow. Like a fake security breach? Exactly. We can make it look like a big deal, drawing security away from the documents. Then we can slip out and send this information to the press. I like it, she said, her excitement matching his. But we need to time it perfectly. With a plan forming, they set to work, creating distractions around the embassy while secretly gathering the incriminating evidence. They hacked into the embassy's security system, setting off alarms in a different wing, causing chaos and confusion. As Xyloran guards scrambled to address the false alarm, Charlie and Sarah slipped out the back door, clutching the documents that could save humanity. Outside, the night air felt electric, the stars twinkling as if in agreement with their boldness. They hurried to a nearby cafe, a safe haven where they could upload the evidence without raising suspicions. Let's get this online, Charlie said, his hands trembling slightly as he connected to the cafe's Wi-Fi. As they worked, Sarah kept a lookout, her heart pounding with anticipation. What if we're too late? She wondered aloud. We won't be, Charlie assured her, determination flooding his voice. We can't let fear stop us. We have to fight for our future. Finally, they managed to upload the documents to a secure news outlet, their breaths held as they pressed send. Now, we wait, Charlie said, a mix of hope and dread swirling in his chest. Hours passed, and just as dawn began to break, a notification pinged on Charlie's phone. The headline read, "Exclusive, Earth faces alien threat, Xyloran ambassador's true intentions revealed." Charlie's heart raced. "It's out," he shouted, the weight of the world feeling slightly lighter. But their triumph was short-lived. Just then, their phones buzzed with urgent alerts: embassy under siege, Xyloran guards on high alert. "Oh no," Sarah said, her eyes wide. "They found out what we did." They darted out of the cafe, their minds racing. "We need to get back to the embassy," Charlie urged. "If we're going to face them, we need to be prepared." As they approached the building, they could see Xyloran security swarming the entrance, their faces stern and focused. Charlie and Sarah exchanged a determined look. "This ends now," Charlie declared. "We have to confront Xildar and demand answers." Steeling themselves, they pushed through the doors, bracing for the chaos inside. Xylorans were shouting orders, and Charlie could feel the tension crackling in the air. "Xildar!" Charlie shouted, forcing his way through the crowd until he spotted the ambassador. "Charlie Grayson." Xildar's voice dripped with mockery. "I expected you would try something foolish." "Foolish?" Charlie retorted, anger boiling over. "You think we're just going to let you take over? We know your plan." Xildar raised an eyebrow, amusement flickering across his face. "And you believe that a handful of documents can sway an entire galaxy?" "I believe in the truth," Charlie shot back. "And the truth is out there now. The people of Earth know what you're planning." As murmurs spread through the gathered crowd, Xildar's expression hardened. "You may have caused a stir, but do not underestimate our power. We are not easily thwarted." "We'll see about that," Sarah interjected, stepping forward. "We won't let you manipulate us any longer." A tense silence enveloped the room, the balance of power hanging by a thread. Just then, a holographic display flickered to life, showcasing the uploaded documents. Gasps echoed around the assembly as the truth unfolded before their eyes. Xildar's facade cracked, his eyes narrowing. "You have made a grave mistake, humans." Charlie stood tall, heart racing. "No, Xildar. The mistake is underestimating us. We may be naive, but we're not stupid. You can't control us." A murmur of agreement spread through the crowd, and Charlie could see the tides turning. Diplomats began to voice their concerns, questioning the Xylorans' intentions. Xildar's expression shifted from anger to desperation. "You are merely pawns in a greater game. Do not forget your place." But Charlie felt emboldened. "We'll define our own place, and we'll do it together. You may have come here with an agenda, but we're not going to let you dictate our future." As tensions escalated, the crowd began to rally behind Charlie and Sarah, forming a united front. Xildar's composure faltered, and he glanced at his fellow Xylorans, who exchanged nervous looks. The power dynamics were shifting, and it was clear that the facade of control was crumbling. "Very well," Xildar said, his voice cold. "Perhaps we can reach a compromise." "Compromise?" Charlie echoed, skepticism lacing his tone. "You mean surrender?" "We will consider your offer of coexistence," Xildar said, his arrogance still evident. "But know this, we are not easily defeated. We will always have a presence here." Charlie nodded, his heart still racing. Then let's make sure that presence respects our autonomy. We're not here for you to assimilate us. With the crowd rallying behind them, Charlie and Sarah felt a surge of hope. The Xylorans may not be gone, but they had managed to shift the narrative. As the dust began to settle, Charlie took a deep breath, a sense of victory coursing through him. They had stood up against a formidable force, revealing the truth and pushing back against the tide of alien manipulation. "Let's keep fighting," Sarah said, a determined smile breaking through her earlier tension. "We have a planet to protect." "Absolutely," Charlie replied, ready for whatever came next. "This is just the beginning." And with that, they turned to face the crowd, ready to lead Earth into a new era of vigilance, unity, and determination.